Welcome back. We are back with another story. It's Arbatian Mental Institution, Chapter 8, Guardians. As we read last time, I could not find Chapter 6, so I'm assuming they mistakenly meant to put Chapter 7 as 6. So I put 6/7 if you guys can't find it, because there really was no Chapter 6. So I'm assuming there was a mix-up. But so far, apparently there was another monster. Apparently this girl has been followed by these monsters since she was little. It even killed her mother, but they assumed that she was the one that killed her mother instead. They brought another girl in that was apparently going to be new, and there was another one of the monsters. So what she's doing is she had Gil distract the guard so she can run to her room to paint the creature, to seal it and lock it in and get it away from her, the girl, and other people so it wouldn't hurt nobody. And now Gil apparently was locked in isolation, which apparently is in Wing E, which everybody knows if you watch the other ones. Wing E has been shut down due to a lot of damage done by a hailstorm. Kiel is instructed along with the other clients to head to their rooms. One by one, the doors slam shut behind them. As he walks to his room, he catches a glimpse of Lenny stopping a few doors away. Curious, he follows behind a little ways and sees him go into a room, slamming the door shut behind him. Who is he seeing? You get lost or something? Kiel is startled by Nurse Penny, a lung puncture hanging off her lip. She looks, I guess that's a way of saying a cigarette. She looks irritated as Kiel walks past her to his room. Too scared to tell her anything, he walks down the hallway and enters his room with a staff coming up behind him to lock the door. He starts to step in before he's shoved in by the staff. He turns around to read his name, Philip, before the door slams in his face. Another riot during dinner. Can't even eat a meal in peace around here. Mrs. Cranston shuffles through some papers, talking to herself. Lenny comes in, pulling his zipper up with a grin. I tell you what, Cranston, you don't know what you're missing. It's like being a kid in a candy store with all these different flavors you could ask for. He stops for a moment and sighs with a smile. But cotton candy has to be the best, especially when they fight back. That's my favorite part. I mean, what an adrenaline rush.
You felt like a failure. Carl told me you were going to get somebody else.
Mrs. Cranston looks over completely unamused. Really, darling, why do you insist on telling me these things? Well, I tell my dad, but never see him. He chuckles. A scraping sound comes from the storage room nearby. Lenny pulls the stick out and braces for a fight. Hey, you hear that? Mrs. Cranston nods her head and whispers, Did you find that new patient yet? Heard they lost her in the riot. Lenny smiles, licking his lips, crossing his wound. Cherry pie, I'm on it. He pushes the door open and glances over the room. Tables and chairs stacked everywhere. The room almost looks hazy through the sunlight with how much dust is floating in the air. Come on out now, baby girl. I ain't gonna hurt you. You want to have a chat with you? We want to have a chat with you is all. He rips a sheet back off a pile of chairs and looks underneath it. Oh, hard to get. That's fine with me. You see, I love to play games. And you'll learn that if you want to keep messing with me. Now come out before I lose my patience. He kicks some chairs over and hears something in between them crashing on the floor, a sound of a young girl. In a dark room, Gil screams, trying to swing his arms around, but is useless. His arms hang by his side like putty. The only part of his body useful is his mouth. His leg pounds in slow rhythm. He assumes it's from the broken bone. He slides down the wall, feeling helpless. A low sound comes from somewhere in the dark, almost like someone with asthma struggling to breathe. Who's there, huh? Let me out, man. Help me, please. Sharp ebony pierces his cheeks from both sides. Into his skin, he can tell they're claws of some sort. The fingers attached are icy cold as they rub against him. Crying, he screams, Fuck, man, come on. Please, somebody, anybody. He feels steam against his face, getting closer. Along with the sound, a warm liquid spills onto his forehead. Saliva. The sound grows louder into a roar when he falls through the floor, ascending into another realm. He opens his eyes and sees his torturer in a black cloak. That's when it hits him. It's lights out at the Institute, and he was saved from death in real life, but would die excruciatingly in another world. Gil sighs from relief. Never thought I'd be glad to see you. All right, let's get this over with. The young girl appears around the corner from behind a wooden table leaned at an angle. She holds her mouth closed, afraid another whimper will escape involuntarily. A tear rolls across her speckled nail polish on a trembling finger. Lenny kicks more furniture around, yelling in all directions. Last chance before you really tick me off. Trust me, you don't want to do that. You will find out my punishments are worse than anything you ever had. Come on now. The girl shudders as Lenny continues to kick and swing at things in between yelling. He turns to a corner away from her and begins to creep towards it. A table set up with a cloth over it draping down with enough space underneath for a kid to hide. He crouches down with his nightstick, preparing to swing. She realizes it's her chance to escape and begins to run as fast as she can. She passes him as he turns around, yelling for her to stop. Her emotions collide. She wants to cry and scream. She wants to fall to the ground and beg for mercy, but her body won't allow it. She runs as fast as her weak legs can take her. She trips, losing her balance, slamming into a wall, but quickly regains her stance with Lenny's threats as a motivation. She sees Mrs. Cranston as she shrugs her shoulders, turning away from her. Running past her, she pushes the door open, expecting them to be locked. They swing open and fresh air hits her face. There was nothing she craved more at that moment. She begins to hurl herself down the ruined steps with a small rejoice in her soul. Lenny comes running down the hall and halts as Miss Cranston holds a hand up. She's getting away. The heck are you doing? He shouts. Calmly, she responds, Love, let the guards take care of it. We haven't used them in a while. Let them have some fun, shall we? Lenny spits and grunts while turning away. Fine, let them do it, but the next one that tries to escape is mine. He pushes 2 doors open after unlocking them and disappears into another room. Miss Cranston sits down in her chair and adjusts her vest. She creases out the wrinkles and reaches under her desk, pulling out a small horn, a curved yellow horn forged from bone with a yellow tint from old age, carving etched across it in deep grooves, forming odd symbols. Dr. Arbatian, you might just be the craziest man out of all them, but damn it, did you take everything through? She exhales softly and blows into the horn. The sound carries outside past the large black doors. The doors rattle as the 2 angels start to shake. The walls tremble as the statues creak and groan. One grabs the door and pushes its hand against ripping itself off.
The rest will be handled in family court. Of course, if the baby turns
The
out
floor
to be yours,
cracks under its
we'll
heavy
waive our fees.
weight as the foot lands. The second one follows, landing on the ground in a heavy thud. A vibration waves across the building. Their rusted bodies twist and snap. They look at each other for a moment before walking down onto the ground. It cries under their weight. The girl runs past bushes and tree shrubs, and muscles in her legs burn as she tries to make her way back to Mooncrest, her hometown. In the dark, there's no telling where she is, though. She feels like giving up, maybe finding a spot to sleep for the night and continuing in the morning. She drags her feet to a secluded spot, thinking she's ran far enough to stay ahead, and plops down on the ground. She thinks of how nice it would be to lay down and release the pressure from her legs, and then she notices something. Nothing but silence as the wood, as if all animals had become quiet suddenly. Looking for any sign of danger, she hears a loud cracking noise. She rolls over, narrowly avoiding an enormous tree hammering into the ground, dust and leaves drifting into the heavens. Her chin pressed against the hard ground, she feels her body fill with small vibrations. She pulls herself up, coughing on the dust, her body still consuming the ground's vibrations, sending them trickling down her spine. Horrified, she picks her head up to see 2 monstrous angels made of bronze. Oh, so they're like living creatures that they can bring to life whenever that are going to take her. So the guy must have made, whoever owns that place must have made a deal with some sort of devil or something. Not really sure. Hopefully we'll figure out what happens in the next part.